In 2008, the world's most famous and successful and richest investor bought 20% of a completely unknown car company. Considered at the time to be a complete basket case of a business, it turned into a huge success and made Berkshire and Warren Buffett more than $7 billion richer. Nobody seems to really fully understand why Berkshire Hathaway have completely dumped their stock of BYD. So why exactly has Warren Buffett, the greatest investor in history, decided that they wanted to get rid of BYD? I mean, BYD's stock price, I think, is potentially undervalued. Price to earnings is only 22. That's pretty reasonable. Very reasonable, I think. And they are a technology company. They're growing. But Berkshire says no, they want nothing to do with BYD. To be fair, they have owned the stock for a very, 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 very long time, profited billions and billions of dollars out of this, well, what you could call spectacular partnership. And all of a sudden, Berkshire Hathaway have said, no, we don't want any more to do with it. So analysts have reported on this news. It's all over the internet, it's all over the media, but no one's saying why it is. I think there is one very good reason, in fact, probably two very good reasons, one above the other. I'm going to outline what those are. This is not an attack on BYD. I think BYD will bounce back from this. I think they make fantastic cars. They have great technology. A lot of their great technology is not rolled out across most of their models yet, but it will be over the coming 12 months. Berkshire Hathaway have to know this. Berkshire Hathaway, they know that a lot of BYD's cars next year will get this new 1,000 kilowatt charging, 1,000 volt architectures, the new BYD Blade batteries. There's two different versions of them, pretty impressive. But they've moved first and made this pretty drastic decision. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. And Berkshire Hathaway, led by legendary investor Warren Buffett, have completely liquidated their stake in BYD. It's been going on for years, to be honest, but recently we discovered that Berkshire has got rid of all of their stock. A Berkshire spokesperson actually confirmed that all BYD shares had indeed been sold, according to the report. And during Berkshire's ownership, which actually began back in 2008.
In 2008, Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway bought about 225 million shares of BYD for $230 million, roughly a 10% stake.
The stock price surged by a staggering 3,890%. But there were many years where the stock price didn't go anywhere. It did nothing. So technically, Berkshire actually lost money over the course of 10 years on this investment. And it wasn't until late 2020, early 2021, when BYD's stock exploded. And that's when Berkshire made all their money on this deal. In August of 2022, Berkshire actually began reducing its stake in BYD, which it had originally purchased in 2008, 14 years prior. By June of last year, its holding had fallen below 5%. BYD's general manager of brand and public relations, Lee Yinfei, said today, "Buying and selling stocks is a normal part of investing," said Lee. "Thank you to Munger and Buffett for recognizing BYD. We also appreciate the investment, support, and presence over the past 17 years. Cheers to all long-term investors," said Lee. Very good response from BYD. Very, very professional. I like it. But here's the thing. The truth is, Charlie Munger, who has now passed away and was essentially the co-founder of the company with Warren Buffett, he actually didn't recognize BYD. In fact, the CEO of Himalayan Capital, a Chinese national, he was the one who convinced Berkshire Hathaway and Charlie Munger to buy BYD. To be honest, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett had never heard of BYD before. They had no idea who this random company was and had no interest in them whatsoever. But they highly respected the CEO of Himalayan Capital and believed that he understood the Chinese market, and he certainly did. On September the 29th, 2008, Berkshire Hathaway Energy, 91.1% owned by Berkshire, purchased 225 million BYD shares at Hong Kong $8 per share for $230 million. To be honest, peanuts. The move was made at the urging of Charlie Munger after the CEO of Himalayan Capital told him to buy the stock. After that, Berkshire's holdings of BYD remained unchanged completely until 3 years ago. In November 2023, Munger passed away at the age of 99, and BYD issued a tribute at the time. On the 24th of August 2022, Berkshire sold 1.33 million shares, reducing its stake from 20% of the company to 19.92%. Barely any difference. But that was the first reduction since Buffett first bought BYD shares in 2008. Since then, Berkshire has reduced its BYD holdings many times, slowly, in order to not shock the market, which was quite respectful. A July 2024 filing with the Hong Kong Stock Exchange showed Berkshire's stake in BYD had decreased from 5.1% to 4.94%. By falling below this threshold, Berkshire is no longer required to disclose subsequent sales under Hong Kong exchange rules, and therefore we didn't know until days ago that Berkshire had completely liquidated its stock position in BYD, going from the largest owner at nearly 21% to nothing in the space of a very short time. So why exactly did Berkshire Hathaway decide to sell BYD? Well, I think there's a few reasons. I won't go through all of them, otherwise you'll be sitting here for a long time. But I think the biggest reasons are this. The automotive industry is a zero-sum game. Car sales are not going to increase. Believe it or not, they're not. They're going to go down. The car market will continue to shrink. The biggest reasons are, well, full self-driving, automated vehicles, robo-taxis, whatever you want to call them, it doesn't matter. Remember, even if you don't, most people live in a city, and most people don't want to drive themselves to work every day. They do it because they have to. It's a pain in the ass. So young people, many of them don't even have driver's license, and they're the future. Yeah. Now, there's obviously a bloodbath going on in China and globally. It's not just China. The rest of the world has been dragged into the bloodbath. Look how much these legacy automakers have discounted their EVs that they don't even make a profit on anyway. They don't even profit from them, and they're still discounting them because they have to. The market is crazy. Any market that the Chinese enter, the prices of everything go down constantly until only a few are left. And that's a tough market to be in. That's a market where you don't usually make any profit because your rivals try to hold you out. In addition to that, recent news has been kind of challenging. For example, BYD sales have begun to stall after they were maybe ordered behind closed doors to stop the price wars in China. In addition to that, probably the biggest news for me personally, maybe not for Berkshire Hathaway, but for me personally, is CATL's Nextra sodium-ion batteries, which last for 5 times as long as LFP, have higher energy density than BYD's Blade batteries, and cost a fraction of the price. Plus, they have some big advantages over lithium batteries. Their ability to operate in cold temperatures is staggering. It's unheard of in the industry. BYD did have an advantage 5 years ago. Their Blade battery, which they make themselves, was one of the cheapest batteries in the world for them to produce, and they made it themselves, put it into their own cars using vertical integration, giving them a cost advantage over their peers. But if CATL has the world's cheapest battery, which is going to be less than half the price of BYD's Blade battery, and it is better, BYD no longer have a cost advantage when it comes to vertical integration or putting batteries that they make in their own cars. Because the truth is, anyone could approach CATL, buy one of their electric skateboards, which means that's basically the heart and soul of the car, and build their own car using that skateboard, which is technically going to be cheaper or at least on par with the price of BYD doing it themselves. There's just no advantage anymore to actually having your own LFP battery production. And that's a big part of BYD's business. What happens to all the customers who buy BYD's batteries for them, which makes them the second biggest battery company in the world, when those customers, well, go elsewhere? Because they will. Now, BYD could counter this potentially with its own sodium-ion batteries, and maybe it has them. It could very well do so. It could have amazing sodium battery technology. But no one actually knows whether they do or they don't. So I guess the question that Berkshire Hathaway have to be asking themselves is this market dangerous? Remember, Berkshire Hathaway didn't just dump BYD stock, they also dumped General Motors. And they hold no position in Tesla, and never have. So, the automotive industry is incredibly cutthroat. The battery industry is becoming more cutthroat and is about to be dominated by one company, and that's not BYD. This is a very difficult market to be in. All that said, I don't think the BYD stock price is going to crumble. The truth is, its price this year is down, but not enormously so. However, every car company, every battery company is facing an uphill slog over the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be a very difficult industry. I personally don't recommend investing in cars themselves. Investing in companies that are prioritizing car manufacturing, for example. Now, BYD's made a smart decision recently to use Momenta in its cars, to use self-driving technology from a company that specializes in self-driving technology. That's a good move. And I think that's the way that more and more companies will go in the future. Toyota's doing the same thing. Many companies now are outsourcing that area of their basically of their businesses. But that does get you to the point where you start to say to yourself, well, if the skateboard comes from CATL, the batteries as well, the motors from, well, anyone, there's many manufacturers that make them. Really, when you buy a car with a badge on the front, what are you actually buying? You're buying goodwill. Now, BYD does have some goodwill, but after its, well, to be fair, it's a very public battle with other car companies and also social media and YouTubers and bloggers over the last 6 months, that goodwill is eroding. I think part of the challenge here is that many people in China no longer respect Stella Lee. I'm sorry, Stella, but it's true. Your outspokenness is kind of like mine, but I'm just a YouTuber. I don't matter. You do. You represent one of the biggest companies on the planet, and you constantly say crazy things. I don't know why the CEO allows you to continue doing this. This is discussed, guys. I'm talking about this issue now on YouTube, but this is discussed in China all the time. No one understands it. There is rumors all about a relationship between the CEO of BYD and Stella because no one can actually understand why she is given free rein to make so many wild comments, to get involved in battles with legacy automakers and Chinese car companies. It is wild, and it feels like a person who is unhinged is at the head of the company. It does. When was the last time someone who sounded unhinged publicly was at the head of a company? That person was Carlos Tavares. That person was fired. Stellantis is in free fall. They are losing billions of dollars. Does this mean BYD will do the same? Absolutely not. I see a positive future for BYD. I think they're going to get through these challenges, and I genuinely think they will be the biggest car company in the world alongside Geely within 10 years' time. I've predicted this many times, and that's not changing. But it does feel like they're on a bumpy road right now. And most of those bumps are of their own making. This can change. This can change, but the public relations department at BYD needs to get control of what they're doing, of their public statements, which often are quite negative. Attacking others, attacking other car companies. I mean, a few days ago, they were in another fight with Stellantis in Europe. The comments are getting now sometimes so outrageous. Honestly, I could do a video on all the outrageous comments, and you'd be a bit shocked by how kind of wild some of them actually are. If they can pivot away from that, pivot away from targeting social media and saying that people are out to get them, it's a conspiracy. It sounds very Trumpian. what BYD is saying. It's a grand conspiracy from other automakers and bloggers and YouTubers to take them down. That's what they really believe. Move away from that. Focus on the positive like they did today. They did that today, no doubt about that. Their statement today, very positive, but it did not come from Stella. It came from someone else at BYD. Maybe that is, maybe Lee Yun-fei is the person who should be speaking for the company publicly. Anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. The Sydney EV International Motor Show. If you want to get a 50% discount on your tickets, all you got to do, click the link in the description and use the promotion code that's in the description. Just copy and paste that. Now, I should mention there's only 200 tickets available per day. So if you go to use the promo code and you can't get a ticket, wait till the next day. Don't wait until the day before the show to get your tickets, because otherwise you'll probably miss out on getting the 50% discount.